Pasuk Chof Aleph. Vayeta Yitzchak LaHashem lo nochach ishto. And Yitzchak prayed LaHashem. Torah doesn't use the term Vayispalel, which is the normal expression for tefillah. Vayetar LaHashem lo nochach ishto. To Hashem opposite his wife. The word nochach could also be interpreted on behalf of his wife, ki akorehi, because she was barren. V'yeosa lo Hashem, and God responded, v'ata Rivka ishto. And Rivka, his wife, became pregnant. Number of which Rashi doesn't address this. We know how careful the Torah is not to use an extra word. The Torah already identifies Rivka as his wife. Vayeta Yitzchak LaHashem l'nochach ishto ki korehi. Vayosa lo Hashem v'ata Rivka ishto. And Rivka, it should say v'ata Rivka. The Torah tells us Rivka was akora. She was barren. It says, the Torah tells us that Yitzchak, at the age of 40, he had taken her as a wife. V'yeta Yitzchak LaHashem nochach ishto. And he prayed on her behalf, or opposite her, because she was barren. Vayoseh lo Hashem. Hashem responded, Vatar Rivka. You could say Vatar, and she became pregnant. Vatar Rivka. Ishto. Seemingly, Ishto was superfluous. Vatar Rivka, what's Ishto again? He prayed on behalf of his wife, Vatar Rivka. Hashem responded, and Rivka became pregnant. What does it have to reiterate Ishto again? First, let's read what is the meaning of the word Vayetar. So Rashi explains, Hirbo v'hivtzu b'tfilo. He prayed abundantly with a level of urgency. V'yoselo, nispatsev, nispais, nispatolo. Hashem was agreeable, was appeased. Omer ani koloshen asa loshen havtzor v'ibuhu. The term when it comes to tefillah of yetar is a level of coercion or urgency, urging, and abundance. V'chein vatar anan haktoras means the billowing up of the ktoras, the smoke of marbis alea oshon. What's l'nochach ishto? Ze omeid bezov zu mispalel. One of them stood in one corner and prayed. V'zu omedes bezov zu mispalelus. And she stood in the other corner. That's nochach ishto. Each one stood in the opposite corner and they prayed. V'yeselo. V'yoselo. Hashem responded to him. V'lo lo. It should say he responded. Why is it important to understand to who? He responded and she became pregnant. But Torah goes out of its way to say, Vayoseh lo, to him, shein dom et tefillah tzadik ben tzadik l'tefillah tzadik ben Rosha. You cannot compare the tefillah of a tzadik, the son of a tzadik, to the tefillah of a tzadik who's the child of a Rosha. She was the daughter of Besuel. Yitzchak was the son of what? Of Avraham Avinu. Meaning we're not differentiating between their individual rights or worthiness. But nevertheless, a person who's a tzaddik, the son of a tzaddik, has greater clout than the tzaddik who's not the son of a tzaddik. Lo v'lo lo. So sometimes you have two tzaddikim of equal value, but one comes from a greater level of pedigree. Pedigree meaning, I'm talking in terms of righteousness. Seemingly, that person's bracha has greater value because that person has a greater background or pedigree, and therefore Hashem will respond more easily. Okay, now we're going to talk a little bit. we find that when Avram was thrown into the kiln and he came out alive, it wasn't so simple. He would come out alive. Hashem went and cooled the fire down, that the fire should not in any way incinerate him or even singe his clothing. So at that moment when he went into the kiln, there was a lot of reason why he should not come out alive. There was prosecution in Shamayim. Some were saying the reason why he should not come out alive is because he's going to have a grandson by the name of Esav, and Esav will bring all kinds of evil into existence, so therefore it's better he should perish. So even though in his own right he has a right and deserving of the miracle, but since the ramifications of his being saving has all this negative consequence, better he should perish. So Hashem says, but since he will have a grandson by the name of Yaakov, who will counter the influence of that evil grandson, therefore he deserves to be saved. Because whatever the negative is, that grandson, Yaakov, and his descendants will counter whatever that evil is. Therefore, Avram deserves to come out. He deserves in his own right. The only reason why not is because of the consequence of this, of having, ultimately, Yitzchak will have a child by the name of Esav. It's a problem. It's going to be Yaakov, okay? Why was there such difficulty? I mean, they're married 20 years, she doesn't have a child. There has to be a third patriarch because the 12 tribes weren't yet born. So why is Hashem holding him up over here to such a degree? And Yitzchak was only able to bring about the result that she should conceive with the most forceful expression of tefillah, the yetar. The Gemara tells us in Sukkah, the word atar in Hebrew means a pitchfork. And what is the function of a pitchfork? You take the hay and you turn it upside down. So just as the pitchfork turns the hay upside down, identically, tefillah is mahapich midas ho achzorius l'midas harachmim. It takes the attribute of achzorius, which is no such attribute, the attribute of cruelty means the attribute of justice, and it overturns it into the attribute of mercy. That's how forceful the expression of Vayetar is. So that means Yitzchak had to resort to the most forceful expression of tefillah so that his wife should conceive. Why? I mean, there has to be another patriarch. Yaakov has to be born. To me, to address the objective of existence, which is what? Which is Kabbalas Torah. Because only Klal Yisrael are qualified to receive the Torah. Right? There's Bereshis Bara Elokim, B'Shul Yisrael Shenikas Reishis. So why does Yitzchak have to resort to the most intense, the great urging of tefillah to bring about Midas Harachmim? What's the holdup? The answer is, this is the holdup. Because since in this conception, there's going to be a twin born to Yaakov, and that twin represents evil, as we'll see when she was pregnant, when she would pass by a temple of idolatry, she would feel a jolt that even the womb already, he was so overwhelmingly inclined for evil, therefore that's a reason maybe she should not conceive. Rivka. Therefore, Yitzchak had to resort to the most overwhelming, intense level of tefillah to bring about the conception. This is the reason. So this is the way, that's Vayetar. Vayoseh lo Hashem vatar Rivko ishto. Rivka conceived because she was Ishto. Despite because she was Ishto, we explained that the Ohr HaChaim HaKadosh had said, since we say the majority of one's children assume the characteristics of the brothers of the mother, and that's why the Torah identifies Rivka as the sister of Lavan, that means it was a strong likelihood that Rivka's child is going to have the characteristics of Lavan, which is very, very bad. Because here, she's supposed to be the mother of Klal Yisrael. She's a matriarch. and she's going to conceive a child that's going to go in the wrong direction. Klal Yisrael is not going to be what they should be. So Reb Chaim HaKodesh explained, the way he explained it, that he had no choice. There was no one more qualified than Rivka. And according to what we said, that Avram Avinu already, after the Akedah, had received a divine communication that Rivka is the wife. If that's the case, that's the will of God. But nevertheless, since factually, the child that will be conceived, one of them, is going to be evil, therefore that's the reason why. So therefore it says, Vata Rivka Ishto. Rivka became pregnant because she was Ishto. Because since she was going to be the matriarch, because a patriarch without a matriarch has no value. Because she was going to the matriarch, that's the reason why she conceived. Otherwise, she wouldn't have conceived. Because you have to have a counterforce to counter that Esav, and because she was his wife, therefore, whatever has to be in place will be in place because she's the wife. If she's the matriarch, there has to be something which will allow that special patriarch to come about to father the Klal Yisrael. That's the way I understand it.